Good morning, Elise. How are you?
Morning. I'm doing good. I have a, I guess it's kind of a discovery call, but she's kind of given me access already to one of her things.
Awesome. That's
Uh,
exciting.
yeah. So I'm going through watching Chelsea's, it's a for real estate. So um it was a lead from Bark and I almost didn't do it because it was so expensive of a lead, but
Uh-huh.
in the end I was like, yeah, I'll just try it out and see. And I'm really glad I did because what kind of tied me away from it is she talked about knowing like tax law. And I was like, yeah, I don't. So I called her and I was like, hey, like I can totally help you with the bookkeeping side, but if you're looking for, the ins and outs, as you said, for like bookkeeping or for all the law, like that's not really my expertise. And she's like, no, 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 that I've got. But I do need help with the bookkeeping. And I guess they're using a software that it's called Rent. What is it called? Rentec Direct. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Uh-uh.
like I guess it's like a CRM website, all the things portal for like long-term rentals. But they're using it for short-term, mid-term, long-term, and now they're doing house flips. It's like they're a partnership. So her husband's a broker, her
That's
partner's
awesome.
just a realtor. She's a realtor. She's like, I took a couple, accounting courses or whatever, but I don't know that I've done it right, So, um, anyway, so we'll see. Um,
Yay.
but I got an email from her yesterday. I told her, I was like, she's like, if I wanted you to look over just to see how I did it. And so I've kind of started right or wrong, right? I've decided I need to up my prices if I need to bring on the more people and get things done. And then also let's just be real, inflation has affected everyone. And so what's worked
Yes.
for us in the past hasn't, I don't think it's necessarily going to work for us right now. But I've been hesitant to do that just because like everybody, I'm afraid. But I'm like, you know what, Lord, you brought me to this business. You have people for me. And if I am going to sacrifice all of like my family for the smaller cost, then I'm not saying yes to the other person that you have necessarily, right?
Right.
Um, and so I kind of throughout this outrage in my mind, an outrageous figure of like, all right, well, I'll charge you this amount if you want me to just look it over, like not do anything, just look it over. And she's
Right.
like, okay, no problem. I was like, oh my gosh.
You can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Right. And so I felt like that was my encouragement to everyone this morning was like, I mean, I got the email yesterday of like, hey, here's all the logins for Rent Tech Direct. Like, she hasn't signed anything. I'm not even on. She was just impressed that I was willing to learn the software. She fully recognizes they probably need to move to QBO. And it's just like, I told my husband, I said, this could be almost a year-long cleanup by the time, if they want all of the data in for this year. And it's going to be class tracking and. So I was, I've not had all of these aspects for real estate. So usually when I've done it, it's been like they're just a realtor, they have a one-time thing, right? So they're just getting the commission. So I've been watching Chelsea's video on that. But that's my encouragement to everyone. Like, I know we're all hesitant, and I feel like you and Sherry have each given me like one big thing. You've always said you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and then Sherry has always had something of like, and maybe you too, right? And you because you both, I spent so much time with both of you. I'm like, who said what? I don't know, but
Right.
um, I've kind of dwindled it down to 30 seconds of courage. I just need to do something for 30 seconds, start. It's okay if it's imperfect. And then when I've told that to other people, they're like, that's gold. I need that, right? All business owners they have the same struggles, right? We all want to do everything perfect the first time, and it's just, that's not
Yep.
right. So
Yep.
anyways.
We were having very similar conversations in the support group yesterday, and talking about like with every business owner has the same struggles and stuff. Like that was one thing that I struggled with in the beginning of my business was like my kid got sick or whatever, so I can't have this done quickly enough. And like, do you tell the client that? Do you do all these things? And a coach that I was working with, like a life coach or whatever, one of the things she said is like, tell them those things because they're probably struggling with the same thing, like it's like you're giving them permission to be human too, so like it's okay to say my kid's sick and you're going to get this a week late or whatever the case is. So yeah, I think we forget that a lot of times that we're all human. We all are trying to run a business. We're trying to figure this out. It's not ever going to be perfect, and it's okay.
Yeah, the other encouragement I would have is like just this in speaking along the same lines of like only being real, but just walking forward in that confidence of last week I talked to someone else who talked to me in the summer. And I think there's been this not naming names, but there's a ton of people in the industry of like, if you do this, you will see X amount of results, or you can't possibly not see like 10x your business or receive this amount. I can tell you the 1 month I brought 3 people on. Granted, I didn't have all my SOPs written out. They were all totally different businesses, and I didn't have a team. Or I had a team, but I still was super top heavy, right? So I didn't structure everything to be able to just give it to them, to trust them to handle it. Like I had to figure it all out. So my hope is when I get more established to just I'm working on getting that established so that next time it's not so top heavy. But someone I talked to this last summer, you know, they they work for a company where they have people in multiple states. Well, they have payroll set up, but the payroll companies don't set the entities up in the different states. And so she was having a nightmare of a time finding someone to do it. And I said, well, I could do it for you. I told her, but I'm going to be honest, I'm going to charge at least double like what CorpNet or one of these other companies charge. I said, but it's going to be me, right? So you're not going to have to be on me, blah, 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 blah. And at the time, I didn't say double, it was like a portion increase, like $100 more. Well, now she contacts me in this November and she hasn't talked to me for like 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, it's now going to be over 500 per person. And you have this many, like multiple figures, or at least more than 10. So we're talking like almost $6,000. And I was like, there you go. If you really want me to do it, whatever. No response. So I'm thinking, totally fine. I didn't really want to do it. But if you wanted me to do it, like, here's an outrageous fee. Like, if you really want me to do it,
Yeah.
I will do it. And she came back yesterday and she's like, hey, I'm just waiting on final approval from the manager.
Uh,
So again, just like, it's okay to go for it, and I have found that it doesn't matter whether I want fast or slow, like continue to put in the work because I've now met with like 3 other people that it's been months long process. And I think by the end of the year, I will have what I've been looking for. But it's been taking all of this time of action, right? And I've now been in business for almost a year and a half. And it's like, really, I only got my clients as of like August of last year. And then I was able to quit my job 2 months later, right? Like God's been so faithful in all of that. But have I 10x my business? Well, cumulatively, yes, right?
right.
But did I do it in a month? No. And the fruits of the consistent action I had from last year is what's getting me to where I'm at today. And so
Yep.
I just, for anyone else that's struggling with like, I'm doing all the things and it's not working, maybe you're like me and it's slow. We're the turtles, slow and steady, right?
Well, I can tell you, like my business, I did not change. So I'm like 4.5 years in now. So January, 3 year, a little over 3 years. Um, I didn't change how I was marketing. I didn't change what I was doing marketing wise, but I've stayed pretty consistent. Just adding people, posting on Facebook, those sort of things. And I tripled, I think. I'm not gonna say my income as well, but like my client load in January of this year. And it was either referrals, people who have found me on Facebook that I've talked to in the past, or somebody saying like, hey, one of them was a CFO and it was a referral from somebody else, you know? So, but it's been 3.5 years, 4.5 years now of constantly showing up, not giving up, pushing, pushing, pushing. To get to that point, to be able to have the referrals just coming in and not having to feel like I'm killing myself marketing my business and all the things, I mean, and I've had clients, for anybody who doesn't know me, I've had clients, I had clients before that, and got them from marketing my business. But it's when it starts coming in like that, like Elise is mentioning, that it's really like, you really start seeing like, hey, all this is really paid off because now it's just flowing in.
Well, yeah, the one that I even met with, a different person I met with, someone else had said, hey, this CFO is looking for people that do construction. It was in the moms group. Well, I talked to the guy, great conversation, and he's like, hey, I'm kind of like looking for someone to do X, Y, and Z. Well, one of my clients, I am a controller for, right? And it's a construction company. So I was able to say, like, hey, yeah, these are all the things, you're doing. I can totally work with that. That's not a problem. So whether it happens or not, like, great. But it was just another conversation. And in the meantime, I've been doing the work and learning the job, right? To then be
Yeah.
able to speak to those things. So I don't know, it's just one of those moments of like, I feel like I probably am not the only one who's like, I feel like I'm always doing all the things and I'm growing at a snail's pace. And, you know, I feel like God is always in the nick of time, not like, here, let me just provide all the things, but
Yep.
to just keep doing what you're doing.
Yep. Most definitely. All right. Kelsey, Belita, how are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah, doing good.
Awesome. How's business going, marketing?
I joined BNI back in August, and that's been okay. Not great. I really haven't gotten any like real referrals from it yet, which they said it would take time. So I'm like trying to be patient, and now this is the time of year where I feel like people are starting to think about bookkeeping and everything. So I'm hoping the next few months will be good for me. And then I really go up and down with my marketing. Like right now, I'm just trying to post like 2 or 3 times a week because I feel like that's what I can handle instead of like trying to do it every day. That just feels overwhelming, So I'm trying to do a more realistic goal for myself. And, I've just been trying to add people on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do more marketing on like LinkedIn versus Facebook, just because I feel like I've had bad luck adding people on Facebook. Like I end up with like weird people messaging me and with my kids on my page and stuff. I don't know. I just don't totally love adding random people on Facebook.
So where have the clients that you have right now currently, where have like where did they come from? Has it been from social media, in person?
One I guess kind of came from social media. But it was like he posted in a community group, and then one of my friends like connected us. So it wasn't like he didn't see a post that I did. So yeah, nothing has directly come from social media. It's all been like referral.
So one thing that I would definitely keep in mind, and this is not saying that you have to go add people on Facebook or anything like that at all, but I would definitely continue to post, because are you friends with that friend on Facebook? Because if you're friends with that friend on Facebook, maybe that's how they saw, or they're remembering that you're a bookkeeper because they're seeing your post periodically. Because I have people that I went to high school with that I haven't talked to in years, but they've seen my post on Facebook. So they know I'm a bookkeeper. So when something like that pops up, they're tagging me in it. So you want to make sure that whoever your audience is now, that you're still reminding them of that. So they will send you those kind of referrals and stuff as well.
Yeah, I still think I'm gonna post. I probably will never post every day, but I don't think like I just haven't been enjoying adding like the random people, which I know is that's like the whole I feel like those are all the marketing programs out there. Like they all want you to add random people, which I get it, but I don't know.
Well,
I just haven't gotten over that.
yeah, and if you're wanting to do it in LinkedIn, like it doesn't matter what platform you use. I mean, that is the end goal regardless, I think. Now there are ways, like if you use Facebook, where you can make lists where it's only your family that's seeing your kids post, stuff like that. So there's ways to kind of get around that kind of stuff if you wanted to use it. But I think LinkedIn can be just as effective if you're showing up, if you're adding the people. Like you can take those same types of strategy and just do it on LinkedIn. But I do think that you would have to do, just from what I've seen, you would have to do more private messaging when you're dealing with LinkedIn than just the posting. Because how many times do you get on LinkedIn and you're just scrolling through the feed on LinkedIn? Not hardly ever. Most people aren't. You're getting on, you're checking messages, you're adding people, you're on there for business. So I think you're going to have to do more of the direct outreach, but LinkedIn's also one of those platforms where that's where everybody's showing up to do that sort of thing. Everybody's there for business. So it's more acceptable to send a message and say, hey, do you need a bookkeeper? Then if you send somebody that on Facebook, they might get kind of like, oh, this is spammy,
Yeah.
So but I think, yeah, if you want to go LinkedIn, I think that's going to be could be a good route for you as well.
Yeah, that's what I think my plan is maybe put all my effort or majority of my effort towards LinkedIn and sending messages and things. And then,
Yeah.
um,
Yep. And I would definitely keep, I mean, being in the BNI group, I've visited a couple of BNI groups in January of 2020. And that was one of the comments that they made to me, was that it's hard to find bookkeepers at that time of year. So I think if you keep showing up, keep doing all the things with the BNI group, like you're definitely going to get some clients and referrals and stuff from there. So I think that'll be huge for you, because like around here, they would want you to go visit all the groups because they're like, oh, we don't have a bookkeeper. We don't have a bookkeeper. Like, come visit, come visit. So I think it could be huge for you. Just keep showing up, because like you said, it's getting to be that time of year where everybody's starting to think about, oh, I need to start focusing on my bookkeeping. I got to get ready for tax time. So when they're getting ready and they're doing that, you want to be the person that they're thinking about, so you definitely want to make sure you're showing up.
yeah, and it has been helpful because like I've added all the members on Facebook, and there's like 20 of us, so it's a big group. And they'll share my stuff that I post, which I feel like that alone has been a huge benefit because I'm reaching like however many more people than just posting on my own page.
Yep, most definitely.
But hopefully the referrals start rolling in.
Yeah, they definitely will. Keep pushing, and it's gonna come for sure. How about you, Belita? How's things going?
Oh, it's going. I'm just still. I ordered some business. Excuse me. I ordered my business cards, and I have some more places I'm going to go and kind of pass them out and talk to people.
Awesome.
But are you saying like LinkedIn and BNI eyes are the best place for now, this time of the year, to outreach?
No, not necessarily. She was trying to decide between like Facebook and LinkedIn. So I just think in her situation, LinkedIn's going to be a good option, and she just joined the BNI group. So that's the only reason I really touch on those two things specifically. But I think anywhere that you're showing up is going to be good this time of year, because people are going to be looking for bookkeepers. If they're not yet, they're going to be looking for it in the next couple of months, because they need to get their taxes done. So I think even doing the in-person, Facebook, like whatever you're doing, wherever you're showing up, that's a good place. Just continue to do it consistently. and all the things. The more people you can get in front of, the more people that you can talk to, the more results you're going to see. Because it's all a numbers game, you know.
Yeah. Okay, then. Because I was just wondering, the best place. I know it's the end of the year too, and some of the like Chamber of Commerce and all of them, because of the holidays, they don't meet as much um, this time of the year. So I was just wondering, BMIs, they're meeting, but it's just
Right.
they're a little expensive. And when it comes to LinkedIn, I get a lot of jobs for looking for bookkeepers and accounting more than
Okay.
them looking for someone to do it for them. It's like a career or a job where you go in,
Okay.
and I'm just trying to weed that
I
out.
would, yeah, I would just try to find the business owners. So like even if it's the industry that you're working in, or maybe it's a smaller industry, whatever, and it can be any business owners, but say it's contractors, go try to find some contractors on Facebook. If you're working with hairstylists, go try to find some hairstylists. I'm saying Facebook, LinkedIn is what I mean. um, just find those people, start adding them as friends. And then kind of what you're going to do is you want to kind of send a message. And I would send a message more like, I don't like to be spammy, so I'm not going to send you a message and say, hey, do you need a bookkeeper right away? Even on LinkedIn, because that's just not my personality. But something along the lines of like, hey, I'm a bookkeeper, I like to connect with other business owners, how's business going, or something along those lines. And then hopefully the conversation goes where you can then say like, hey, how are you handling your bookkeeping? Like, yeah, I'm here if you need anything, those sort of things. But you're going to have to like really have the conversations. And you're going to want to make sure you're making those connections with those business owners, and that's the ones that you're sending the connection request, your messages to, and things along those lines. And you can send a message every single time you send a connection request out. So you could do that if you wanted it, approach it from that standpoint if you want. But yeah, there are a lot of jobs. There's a lot of spammy stuff that goes on LinkedIn and stuff, but you could do it on any platform, like wherever you feel comfortable. Kind of take that same thing. But the biggest thing is you want to get in front of more people, because the more people you talk to, the more chances of turning them into clients you have. So you're going to want to add people, talk to more people, whatever that looks like for you in however you're marketing. So you're in person, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, whatever the case is.
Okay, so you need at least about an hour, 2 hours of doing that a day?
I would at least, if you have more time, you can spend more time doing it, but I would definitely spend an hour at least. And I can tell you, like in the beginning of my business, because I was working full time, I was trying to go through course material, like do all the things. I didn't have time to sit down for an hour or 2 hours and do it at one time, but I would do like, okay, here's 15 minutes, here's 30 minutes, here's 15, whatever, break it up. But I was just making sure I was consistently showing up every day doing some type of marketing. So even if you feel like, hey, an hour is a long time for me to sit down and do it, like 15 minutes, do that 4 times a day, like make something happen. Just make sure you're doing it and you're showing up.
Okay. Okay. I'm on it.
Awesome. Hey, Nicole, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm good. How's business going?
Um, it's it's steady. It's not growing yet still. I just lost another client because he's like selling his business, and he's a truck
Oh,
driver. He's not able to stay afloat, and so he's just gonna go get a truck driving job. And so I don't know, you know, it's
so what are you doing? Are you still marketing Facebook?
yeah,
Are you doing?
yeah, I'm staying very consistent, and I think that's what's wearing me down is because the consistency has not been fruitful for me. And So I just purchased this course that I'm like a little iffy about, but I'm gonna give it a try. And it's kind of like to learn how to do YouTube ads
Okay.
because I really need to grow and I just don't know what to do anymore. And I'm getting, it's discouraging because it takes a lot of effort to market every day and it's just not, I don't know. So, I mean, I did just sign one new client, but I still have yet to receive anything, and it's been a month, and I haven't gotten paid for the back work yet, and so I haven't started it yet, and so that's a little bit frustrating too. But I mean, in general, it's going.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't give up. I would continue to show up. So right now is kind of a weird time. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about it. Because one of the things they told me was a lot of the people that they're having conversations with are not wanting to do back work. So I almost feel like the economy has something to do with that, because it's like such a large chunk that you're coming out of pocket.
Yeah, I agree with that because I've had a couple of phone calls and discovery calls, and at least 3 or 4 of them were like, "Well, I'll just wait till January then." And
And
it's like, I don't know.
it's frustrating from our standpoint, like, because you want the monthly clients, you want to grow your business, you want the income, or you need the income. But we're like, definitely follow up with them. Make sure you're making a list so you can touch base with them again in January. Chelsea grew her business a lot. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, with a lot of people who kept telling her that, like, we're going to sign up in January because we don't want to do cleanup work. She contacted them back in January, sent engagement letters, everything straight over. They signed up. So she started the work in January. She didn't have the cleanup income coming in, but that increased her monthly income. So I mean, I
That's
think
a good. That's good.
huh?
I like that. I mean, I think that like I I'm really, really bad at following up. I have a really big mental block around it. It doesn't feel good for me to chase business. And so my other issue is I'm not organized and I can never find like these people that I talk to and where's their information. I need to compile it into a list and I just, I've been so busy that it's like it's so far down the priority list. And so I I don't know, like when I follow up, I have followed up several times to a couple people and it's like I get nothing. So then I'm like, well, I don't need to chase you. I don't know. I have a tough time with
So
that.
yeah, so a couple of things. A lot of mindset, sales calls, books, all the things that I've listened through the course of my business. One of the things they always say is the fortune is in the follow up. So I think you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table by not following up. One, a couple of things that I've done in the past, and I'm pulling it up and I'm gonna grab the link for you. So we have our free marketing challenge that we have. In the free marketing challenge, there is an Excel file. The Excel file has like a sheet right there that you put all their contact information in. So how did you have the conversation with them? Like Facebook, you could put a link directly to their Facebook, to the message y'all were having the conversation in, anything along those lines. What was the conversation about? If it was in person, if you have an email address, all those things. So it can be something. So what I would do is take that, save it to your desktop on your computer, and every single time you have a conversation and somebody says something like that, or it could be every single time you have a conversation, if you want, add them to that list. That way you can take it however often you decide, once a month, once every 2 months, go down that list and follow up with the people. Now that we have the holidays coming up, I took this, I probably a year into my business, I started taking advantage of that and following up with people, but not following up like, hey, we had this conversation, where do you stand, let's talk again. But like, hey, I just wanted to wish you and your family happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, hope you all had a great holiday, whatever the case is. Something super simple, like just, hey, I'm checking in, thinking about y'all, whatever the case is. And I had several people who would email me back and say, oh, I've been meaning to respond to your emails because I was following up about other things, but I've just been super busy, or I've been wanting to reach out, blah, 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 and they've just been busy. So you just want to kind of stay in the front of their mind, because one, it is a holiday, so it's a perfect opportunity to not talk business and talk about something else. And then we're coming up on tax season. So the plumber that you talked to 2 years ago, his books might not be in order at all. He might not even be thinking about that right now, but come January, his CPA reaches out and he's like, oh yeah, Nicole sent me an email. Let me email her because I need to get that in order. So you were the last person that or the first person he thought about. So you want to make sure you're staying like there, and it doesn't have to be an email. It could be a Facebook message. It could be a LinkedIn message, however you're communicating with these people, but you definitely want to continue to follow up. Even if you give people a quote and they're like, you feel like they ghosted you, you haven't heard from them. A lot of times they're not ghosting you necessarily. They're just busy. We're business owners. I am so guilty of, I get a notification on my phone, an email from somebody. I open it up, I start to respond, or I just open it up and think I'm going to respond later. I get sidetracked and I totally forget about it. So it's very possible that like they do the same thing, just because we're busy and we have so many things going on. So like they didn't say no, so don't take it as a no. And again, you don't have to be spammy when you're following up. It can be super simple. But you can also check in like, hey, how's your bookkeeping going? If it's not holiday time. But I think the follow-ups are going to be huge for you.
Those are all very valid points. And yeah, good advice. Thank you. I mean, like I said, my mind block is like, oh, they don't want me, but like you said, they haven't said no. So, I mean, I love the spreadsheet idea, and that I think was kind of holding me back from doing a follow-up sheet, is like sitting down and building it, and like you already have one built out for me. So, yeah, so that'll definitely be helpful. I will, I mean, I'm not on my computer, so I'll try to like click on it and see if I can get it on my phone, but
I put it in the live. I put the link in the
Okay.
live as well. So if you need to go back later, just go check out
Okay.
the link in the live too, or message
Yeah.
me, whatever. I'll send that over.
That's definitely a step in the right direction for me. So thank you so much.
Yep, no problem at all. Let's see. Chastity said, I know you've said before you focused on local businesses. Do you reach more to their Facebook pages and message them, or would talking to them in person with business cards be more effective? So, I've done both. In person, I've done a lot of in person, but usually when I've done the in person and I've met them and I've had the conversations with them, I do add them to Facebook, because just because you're having that conversation with them right then and there, it doesn't mean they're going to sign up, or it doesn't mean they need a bookkeeper right now, or they know somebody who needs a bookkeeper or anything like that. So make that connection, send them a friend request. So then whenever you're making your post, you're marketing your business and you're doing all the things, they're still seeing your post and they know, hey, oh, she has a bookkeeping business. And it may be that they don't ever need a bookkeeper, but maybe their best friend does, or their neighbor, or whoever might need a bookkeeper. But I found groups on Facebook that were strictly local business owners. And you can do the same thing like with your Chamber of Commerce, BNI groups, like anything like that. But found them and tried to interact with them. If they've had in-person networking group meetings or activities or whatever the case is, I would show up for those. Just trying to, one thing you got to remember, especially in this business, is it takes, people want to get to know you. They got to like you and they got to trust you, because you're dealing with their money, you're dealing with their finances. So it's a lot easier to build that know, like, and trust factor whenever you're in person or you see their face and all the things. So that's one thing why, like, a lot of people always say, make sure you're posting some personal stuff on your personal page, even if you're marketing on there, because they want to know you're a real person. They want to make that connection. They want to feel like, feel that connection with you, like, hey, I can totally relate to what she's posting, what she's saying, like all the things. So I would do a combination of both. If you can do some in person, show up and do that. I will say there has been several people who've gone, I want door to door, business to business, whatever, handing out business cards and have had a lot of success with it. We have some local businesses that have like a counter that you can put business cards on. The restaurants, when you walk in, have business cards hanging. If you have places you can do stuff like that, do that. Leave them. You never know who's looking. Like that doesn't take 5 seconds to walk in and drop them off. Or if you're already there as you're walking through the door, set them on the counter. Anything along those lines. So, and then like I said, chamber, if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, they usually have like a list of all your local business owners on there. You could add them as friends on there. But if you can get to stuff like that, like the ribbon cutting ceremonies, all the things that they offer, those would be super helpful. Chastity, let me know if you have any questions about that. Hopefully that was helpful. Nicole, do you need some advice on your niche?
Yeah, so sorry, I'm washing dishes. I hope you can't hear that. So I have been like trying to niche down and it's not been successful. And then so I'm debating, do I advertise both? Should I just keep going with the niche? And if like, because I do have like other businesses that I service or whatever, but I'm a little confused on whether I should like do both sides of the business or eventually just niche down. And I just kind of wondering what your input is on that, because my niching down has not been successful at all.
Okay. So a lot of people like really, really believe in niching down and like you have to have that to have a successful business. And it's worked really great for some people. You can, especially like if let's say hairstylists, there might be a bunch in one place, so they're going to send a bunch of referrals your way, that sort of thing. And then you can get pretty specific because then like their type of business pretty well and all the things. So I'm not against it at all. But for me, I tried to do that in the beginning of my business as well. And I just market it toward that industry. I still to this day have 0 clients that are in that industry at all. So I kind of turned it around to like, hey, I'm just going to focus on local businesses, not necessarily one specific. And I think some people get so hung up in it's got to be one industry, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an industry. It could be local business owners. It could be moms who own businesses by a lease. It could be different things. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think so. Like, I guess my concern is like if I've been focusing on this niche for pretty hard for 6 months, and then I suddenly stop, is that going to show whoever's following me, if they're out there, is that going to show them that I'm inconsistent and that I'm flip-floppy and wish-washy? Because if I start switching my marketing now, I just feel like it's going to negatively impact the view of my business type. Does that make sense?
Well, and I would have to go look at your Facebook and kind of see exactly how you're marketing it. But there's ways to like
Do both.
Yeah, so you can do like if you're saying, because I market both of my businesses on my Facebook page. So some of my posts will say business owners at the top of it and it'll have something, or some of it might say bookkeepers and it has something there about that's related to the group or whatever. So like I'm marketing both. So you can, and I don't know how you're wording all your stuff, but if you're just like specifically calling out
I'm calling out restaurant owners because you might know I've been a chef for 20 years and I really want to help them, and they really are close to my heart, and that's who I want to focus on really bad. And I just feel like all of my business has been from other businesses, and I don't want to exclude them because at this point Christmas is coming and I'm really like kind of getting nervous about paying for Christmas, and and I need those clients, but I just think like I don't want to stop trying to, but I also don't want to turn off the other ones. And all of my marketing says, attention restaurant owners, or catering truck or food truck, that kind of language is what I've been using. But
Okay.
so maybe if I just change it to some of it to business owners and just do that. I don't know.
That's what I would do. I would just tweak it just that little bit. That doesn't mean that you're not working with restaurant owners. It doesn't mean that you're only accepting restaurant owners, whenever you change that. Because that's just like a small little tweak. I don't think that's gonna
Yeah.
make people think that you're being inconsistent, because you're still
Okay.
showing up for your bookkeeping business. You're still asking for bookkeeping clients. It's not like you're switching to a totally different profession or starting a whole new business or anything like that. You're still doing the same thing. And it also makes sure that if you're gonna, I'm sure you have added a ton of restaurant owners as friends, but if you're wanting to market to other people as well, make sure you're adding other business owners as friends. That was not coming out right. Because I think the biggest thing when niching down, a lot of people, like the reason a lot of people say do it is because you want to think about that specific person. Where are they at? Where can you find them? Where can you show up to let them know what you have to offer in your service and all the things? Well, if you don't have an idea on who that person is, you might not know where to find them. So that's why, like I said, with the local business owners, you can show up in I'm close to Baton Rouge small businesses. I could show up in that group and I'm gonna find a bunch of local business owners in there. It's stuff like that. So like, how do I know where to find these people? Like what types of groups are they in and things?
I definitely don't have an issue finding restaurant owners and chefs, and that's super easy for me, and that's most of my audience, and like the majority of them, that's easy. The other side of it is not easy. I don't know where to find other business owners, and I've tried the networking groups, and that's kind of worked, but it's not anyone that's like, how do I word it? Like they're not an industry that I know, so I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what their pain points are, like I do my niche, and I don't know what their conversation in their head is in order to address that. And so I end up having very general, basic, boring marketing to anyone who's not a restaurant owner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is so think about the clients that you do have. You said those clients are not restaurant owners. So think about the conversations that you've had with them. So one thing that I always try to do is when I'm having a conversation with a potential, or somebody calls me randomly looking for bookkeeping services, sending me a message, whatever the case is, what are some things that they're saying that you think other business owners are going to relate to? And it can even be like, I'm working on this client's books and this client makes this comment that they've never had financials by the 15th of the month, so now they can get investors for their business, or something along those lines. But like, make note of that. So like, I have a note section in my phone where something like that happens, I'm making note of it, so you can make posts about that stuff.
Okay.
I found a client whose income was overstated because they're invoicing through QuickBooks, but they weren't applying the payments correctly. Things along those lines, like, are you invoicing in QuickBooks and 100% sure you're not overstating your income and paying more in taxes? Like, it could be simple stuff like that, but just pay attention to those conversations. And how they say it is going to be the next thing, because I've gotten so many comments from people telling me that they were happy to talk to me, happy to have the conversation with me, all these things, because when they talk to their CPA or they talk to a tax preparer, they don't understand what they're saying because they're talking way over their head. So when they can relate to you, and if you're using the words that they're using, then they can relate to those things. They really understand. Where if you put, oh, do you have large undeposited funds on your books, which their income's going to be overstated, they don't know what that means. That means absolutely nothing to them.
Good
like,
point.
I don't
Good point.
care. So you want to kind of think about it from that standpoint, like, how can they relate? How can you relate to them? So I don't think that's going to be, and go in the group if you see people posting in our group even that like, hey, I talked to this potential who has XYZ wrong with his business and he's looking for a bookkeeper, make a post about it. Is your business looking like this and you need a bookkeeper? You know, it could be simple stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
That could help
I
you.
like that. That's good. All right.
Yep. And I'll also tell you a lot in the beginning of my business. I did not, because I didn't have the bookkeeping experience, no clients yet, haven't talked to anybody. Like, how do you market? What do you do? Like all those things. It would be something simple like, do you need a bookkeeper for your business? Do you need reports to file your taxes? Because it was almost like, I don't know what I don't really know what value I'm providing yet, but I know these are the things that I'm doing for you. So it was just like short, simple stuff. Or like, hey, here's a motivational post, but I tagged my business in it. Or and every day of the week, I've kind of gotten out of it now, but at one point, every day of the week was something different. So Monday would be motivational. Tuesday would be a tax tip. You can go on Pinterest and find tax tips. Wednesday would be like Wellness Wednesday. Every business owner puts self-care last. So what can somebody do today for wellness? Tag your business in it. Thursday would be more of a marketing type post, and Fridays would be like Friday Funny. So that way you have something different every day. Your business name is constantly in those posts because you're tagging your business in it, but it's not necessarily all, hey, here's an advertisement, I'm a bookkeeper, I'm being spammy, like all those things, but they're seeing your business name. So like I made sure that in my name on my business, it says Harvest Books Virtual Bookkeeping Firm. So every time somebody sees my business name, they're seeing bookkeeping firm, bookkeeping firm. So when they're looking for a bookkeeper, bookkeeping firm, they're going to remember that. And again, like Pinterest was huge for me. You can even go on Canva now and they have some pre-made posts that you can just kind of change the colors and rebrand it and stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. I do love Pinterest. I haven't used that lately for content and stuff, but you know, I was kind of thinking like when I do talk to business owners and they all kind of say the same thing, and how many different ways can I post about that? And so that's my block. But like you said, I like the idea of doing a different topic every day, and I think I'll try to implement something like that.
Yep. Awesome. Good deal. Yeah, I think that'll be helpful for you. All right. I don't know if anybody else has any questions on Facebook, Zoom, anything. We still have about 10 more minutes or so, so I'm happy to answer anything. Anything y'all have.
I mean, I have one more thing, I guess.
Sure.
I have been focusing only on Facebook just because that's the one I know. And I don't really like the feel of LinkedIn, so I don't want to go that route. But I was kind of wondering if you think like well, and I was thinking about going to do more on Instagram because it seems like more people are starting to be on Instagram. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm concerned about doing two platforms and not focusing on one. And you know, when you're not focused, it kind of ends up being choppy, and just what your thought around that is.
So I think it depends on how you show up to them. Just like you said, if you try to do too many things, you can tell you're trying to do too many things sometimes. I will tell you this, in the very beginning of my business, I tried all the things. So I was trying to do everything at one time just because I was like, I don't know where clients are going to come from. I don't know what's going to work. So I'm going to do all the things. And then I saw like, okay, where are my clients coming from? And Facebook seemed to be where a majority were coming from. So that's where I try to focus. Now, the way Facebook and Instagram is set up, you can have, if you're posting on your personal page, well, either way, if you're posting on your personal page and you have a personal Instagram, it can post there. If you have a business page and you have a business Instagram, it can post there. So you can make one post on Facebook, and probably Instagram as well. I don't use it enough to really know if it works both ways. But you can make one post and it can share to both platforms for you. So you're not really having to overthink it or anything like that. Instagram is going to be where, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, I try to do the double posting and I always get the notification this one isn't allowed to share on Instagram. And so then I'm like, well, maybe I need to go to Instagram and do it the reverse way. And I end up getting a little bit more spam on Instagram. But I, I just don't know how Instagram works as well. And I mean, I do and I don't, but I think that if I'm trying to post, like at the very beginning, I posted on both and I wasn't able to keep up, with all the spam and all the messages on both. And it would fall between the cracks. And so I guess that's what like my issue is. Like, do I try to spread out and again, or, like you said, if you're posting on too many things and people start to notice that, or do people even notice that? I don't know.
I don't think, I mean, even if they notice that, I don't think it's a bad thing. Because you want to get in front of as many people as possible. The more people that you talk to, the more chances you have of getting in front of the right people and you get clients signed, because it's all a numbers game at the end of the day. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I definitely have tried to establish a presence on all the platforms, because I always think like, what if somebody local to me is going to look for my business on there, or if they're searching for a bookkeeper, like I want to make sure I'm popping up when those searches happen.
I mean,
So
I think like I end up getting overwhelmed, but I also want to reach a larger audience because I have the Facebook business, the Facebook personal, the Instagram business, the Instagram personal, and I get a little overwhelmed in my own head, but I also, how do I reach more people? And so if I double my efforts, like, it might be easier, but I just don't have time for that. And so I don't know. Do you think businesses have more credibility when they are like focused on one, or is it just,
I don't think so. I think honestly, as far as like the difference with Instagram and Facebook goes, majority of the time it depends on the business that you're like, your niche, what kind of business are you looking to sign as a client, as to who is going to be on what platform. That's kind of what, because a lot of people, it's usually, some people are on both. Like I have both, but I can tell you if I'm sitting here not doing anything right before I go to bed, I'm on Facebook scrolling. Well, other people might be like, oh, I'm on Instagram scrolling, so it's just like those types of personalities and those people. And then also, I mean, restaurant industry, they can take pictures of the food that they're serving. If you like interior designs, they're taking a picture of the houses if they decorate it. Hairstylists, they're taking pictures of the hair. Boutiques taking pictures of their clothes, like stuff like that. Instagram is going to be strictly pictures. So the person who has a lot of pictures to show about their work that they're doing and can do it like a portfolio type thing almost, that's who's going to be on Instagram. Whereas Facebook, your contractor, your bookkeeper, because I'm not going to post a picture of the books that I just cleaned up, on Facebook. So you got to kind of think about it from that standpoint. And it's going to be more like, what audience are you targeting as kind of what, because I don't think they're both going to be there. And if they are, guess what? If this hairstylist is looking for a bookkeeper and you're on both platforms, and she sees you, she might be like, oh, well, that's a sign. Nicole's here and there, so I've got to reach out to her. She's doing big things. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all, but you've got to know yourself good enough. And you made the comment that you think that you get overwhelmed, that if you know that's going to make you overwhelmed, and everybody's different when they get overwhelmed, but some people, when they get overwhelmed, that means they shut down and they're not doing anything. So just showing up on Facebook and showing up consistently every single day is going to get you farther than not showing up on either, if you get overwhelmed and you just totally shut down. So think about it from that standpoint as well. Because you can grow your business just one way. It's possible, but it's also possible to do multiple things too. So
okay, good point.
Just know yourself more than anything. I think with that.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
One question before you leave. Did you all do a LinkedIn workshop?
Yes, ma'am. We sure did. We have a LinkedIn workshop. Let me find the link for that, and I'll drop it here. Oh, and Belita, were you able to get a one-to-one book the other day, last Thursday? I think we chatted about.
No, no, I'm gonna try that again. I
Okay,
tried it
try.
today.
Okay, yeah, try Abby because I know she was kind of like I had reached out to her, so she was going to be watching for you to book, I think.
Oh, okay,
So I
okay,
know her schedule's open.
okay.
Can I ask you why you're looking for that? Is there, and this is off topic, but is there anything specific that I need to do for this guy who's closing his business to like close his books? Or do I just reconcile the month out and like give him the report? Is there some like guidance or resource that you can direct me in?
So it's pretty much going to be just like you do with your end of the year, like you would do for end of the year closeout. The only thing is like the sale of the business will have to be notated on the books, and that's just gonna wait. I'm sorry. Is he closing it? Just closing it, or is he selling it? Because if he's selling it, that'll have to be notated on the books and as income.
Sorry, I was
If
on
he's
mute.
Oh no, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't actually know, to be honest. I
Okay.
think he's just closing it, like dissolving it. Is that like something that needs to be noted? Or yeah, I don't think he's actually selling it.
Okay. If he's just closing it, I would kind of ask the CPA how they want to handle it, but it shouldn't be, it should just be like a regular year-end closeout, like nothing different. So just finalize
Okay.
P&L, balance sheet, those types of things. And it's
So
going to be more on the CPA, like filing the taxes, to make sure he's
yeah,
got like
okay.
all of his deductions asset wise, like all those things,
That makes sense. And so just a follow-up question. Last year I paid for the year-end webinar
Mhm.
that I forget what's her name did. I can't think of it right now, but is that still available to me if I log into the CB4S?
Yep, log
Oh,
in.
great.
Any of our webinars or anything that you purchase, as long as we have them available, they're available to you. So
Oh, cool.
you should have
All
them for
right.
life.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'll
No
have to
problem.
go back and rewatch that because I've only done one year end and it was a hot mess. So,
And it's
you
here
know,
again.
yeah, it's coming.
Yep,
So
no doubt.
cool. All
Belita,
right, thank you.
you're welcome. I dropped the LinkedIn training in the chat here. I also dropped it in the chat on the live in case you lose it from the chat here on the Zoom. So either way, it's there. If for some reason you can't find it, send me a message, let me know. I will make sure you get that
Okay.
as well. So marketing challenge, LinkedIn, those both are there. All right. Any more
Okay.
questions before we wrap up? The holidays are
Well,
almost
thank
here,
you.
guys. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Thanksgiving.
I know. We're going out of town, so I'm kind of excited about that.
We are too. I'm excited too because I cook every year and I don't have to this year. And I like
Right?
to, but it is a lot of work. So
Yeah.
You all
Yep.
have a good
Definitely.
time.
Thank
you too,
you.
Belita.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, y'all have an awesome weekend. See y'all next week.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.